We laughed all day, every day. The conditions were so miserable. There was one time I caught Kurt Russell just talking to a chair. He was so cold. He was having a conversation with a chair, as if the chair was talking back to him. That's how tired and out of our minds we were. Hey there, Walton Goggins here. We are going to be watching some scenes from throughout my career. You ready?
You had him killed over some land deal or some shit. You don't fucking remember that? He was my father.
Gloria Hatchet.
He was a good man.
Rick Hatchet is a person that was so deeply wounded, and his entire life was informed by this event that happened to him, that was told by his mother, and that was that his father was killed by this man, played by Scott Glenn. I knew that kind of coming into this experience, and it was a holding space for that anger, that debilitating kind of arrested state of development anger for so long over the course of filming this, literally from the day that I arrived in Thailand. Scott came to the set for a few days. He had to fly in, and I didn't say hello. Didn't really talk to him at all unless I had to, but I didn't really see him up until this sequence of events that we filmed at his house, and I chose not to talk to him, and the thing is, he didn't talk to me either. The anticipation of it coming down to this day and what was gonna happen, and Sam Rockwell, and he saw how much pain I was in, just with the anticipation of having this conversation with this fucking guy. And he just pulled me aside and he said, "Stop it. Stop. You need to let all of it go right now, man. You can't live in this any longer. This is what you gotta do. You gotta go to your room. You sit there and you make him give you a 25-minute warning. Count down from there, but they need to give you that much time. But you gotta let it go, man, or else you're gonna, the star is gonna burn out." There are 3 or 4 sequences to this one scene, but it's really one long scene. And the way that Mike had orchestrated this experience and had written this experience in this very first scene, which is just taking in the life that this man has lived, the life that he enjoyed, that he denied me, knowing that there's a gun kind of in my pocket. We started, with this first scene, and it was a little rough out of the gate in the sense that it was like a horse almost tripping at the gate before the gate kind of comes open, in the Kentucky Derby, because I just want to go. Let's just go. I just want to get this out of my body. I've been holding on to it so long. I knew the next morning that so much of this shit was going to be out of my body because we didn't film this in order, even more so than any other movie, because you have so many people and you have to film the breakfast scenes all at once and the dinner scenes all at once. And so we had already filmed the ending of the last scene where I die with Amy Lou. And so this was the last hurdle, was really this day. This was the thing that was hanging out there.
I bet they had a happy childhood growing up here.
You bet. Spoiled rotten.
The thing about this final confrontation was we only did this 3 or 4 times. Mike was outside and he just didn't want to live in this world. We made sure we got it, but he saw exactly kind of where I was and over the course of this whole experience coming down to this moment. And this one take in particular he used, I just remember grabbing a drink off the desk and just sitting there for such a long time. I must have sat there for like a minute and a half with the camera rolling before I started talking. And it just clicked for me. It's like it was the moment where, we all strive for as actors, where you really are holding a mirror up to nature. That was this moment for me. And I've only accessed that a few times in 30 years, but it is the thing that we always try to come back to. And it's like, that's euphoria.
You may not remember him, but you sure as fuck are gonna remember me.
Mike just did such a good job with building up to this moment. Here it is, even watching it right now, I have like all of this anxiety. And what do you do with that when you get to face the boogeyman? Most people don't have closure in that way from a traumatic event in their life. And then all of a sudden, Rick Hatchett has it in this moment. He's able to face the person that fundamentally changed his life. Rick Hatchett's entire life has been defined by his hatred for this man. You know, what do you do when the clock's running out? And who would he be without this man? What are you without the thing that makes you want to continue to live, which is just to find this fucking guy and to kill him? And that's what this entire scene was about for me. He finds peace. Rick transcends his own karma in this moment by not killing Jim Hollinger. That's what was so ironic about the whole experience. It was leading up to this confrontation for me, only to have it and to be completely released from the experience for a moment in time, only to have the ending happen the way that it happened. But it all culminated in this episode and in this conversation. This journey of Rick Hatchett was very, very personal to me. I had gone to Bangkok looking for similar answers to questions almost 18 years ago, life questions. I don't really believe in pulling from things in your own life. I believe that the magic is in make-believe between action and cut. But we all have the lives that we've had, right? And going into this experience, I thought the one thing Rick Hatchett has going for him is that trauma knows no color, trauma knows no gender. We all have it in common. Trauma comes for all of us. And it is the thing that, if we let it, can ultimately unite us. This Rick Hatchett and this journey has changed me as a person. And I can say that. They all change you, right? But the change that happens for someone that's 53 years old is louder because it's seismic in its form. And I feel like because of his peaceful journey, I've found another level to the peace I have in my own life.
Thanks, man. My favorite, buddy. Shane? Shane!
Just another light day at work. This is Kenny Johnson. He's one of my best friends. I've known him for such a long time. God, this was such a long day, such a brutal day. Kenny knew that this was going to happen, that his death was going to come months before we did. And he held on to this secret for a really long time. And then the day that they told us, we were all, you know, at our trailers, we came out and we got this news and we all revolted. Cass, myself included, said, "Fuck you. No, you can't kill him." And there were, you know, a bunch of grieving people because he was so beloved. Once we were, you know, told that this is how it has to go, specifically because the audience would have the reaction that we're having, I said, okay, well then let me kill him. I want to kill him. Give it to me. Let me take him out. Of course, they're not going to tell me where the story was going, right? So I don't have that information. Then that script came out, and there it was. And I thought, okay, thank you for giving me the privilege. And it dovetailed so nicely into you know, where Shane was, because he began this journey under the tutelage of Vic Mackey, and he became corrupted in the moment in which he killed a police officer.
We killed a cop.
5 seasons later, he has completed that circle, and he is doing this on his own, and he's doing it because he feels that's his only option, and he's saving the team because of it. This day we shot it in downtown Los Angeles. The air was so thick with anger and pain, and everyone was just pissed off, and it was not a good moment for everybody because nobody really wanted this to happen. I'll never forget the first time. Everyone was behind the monitor, and I remember when Steven said action before I launched into it, I just said, you fucking wrote this. You fucking wrote it. You want to see it? Okay, you fucking wrote it. All right, I'm going to give it to you. Here it is. This is it. This is goodbye. Say goodbye. And then just went into it for, 14 hours of pain.
Lim, I'm sorry. But I had to, right? But you know I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
It was extremely cathartic, but also bittersweet. This is one of the first things I've ever been involved with that I didn't want it to end. There's a moment, if you really watch this, and very few people have ever commented on this, but for a minute after this explosion, Kenny, for some reason, Curtis Lemon Lemansky, he decided not to be dead. He was alive for a brief moment. And he just looked at me as if to say, why? Or forgiveness. It could be kind of either. And he chose to do that. I didn't expect that once the cameras were kind of rolling. And this is one of the few times where everything stopped and it was still. I felt it on the day, but in this moment, as an actor, looking at Kenny, I remember feeling like, I'm sorry, I'm regret to, fuck you, man. You did this. This is your fault. I didn't want to do this. I'm doing something morally reprehensible to save my brothers. I mean, isn't that what you do? It was really interesting what happened in that moment and the way that those feelings kind of came out. It was so, thank you, Sean Ryan. Thank you, Kenny Johnson and Stephen Kay, for giving me the opportunity to experience this level of nuance and to be out of control.
Ye who are weary, come home. Preciously, tenderly, Jesus is calling. Oh, Sammy, my heart broke for joy tonight, Sammy.
This was, up until this point in my life, the greatest experience of my life. Everybody has their heroes, right? I mean, I've got a lot of heroes, a lot of people that I look up to, like everybody, but none more than Robert Duvall. He is the North Star for me. And I was 24 years old when I got a call to come and audition for this movie called The Apostle that was written and directed by Bobby. And I'll never forget the phone call that I got on my answering machine. When I hit play, when I got home, there was a voice that said, "Hey, this is Bobby D. Hey, you're gonna come down to Louisiana? We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have the best time." That was him. That was my hero. And that kind of began the journey.
You go to heaven, I'm going to jail, you going to heaven. I love you, son.
Bobby understood exactly what he meant to me and my life and really kind of took me under his wing. And then the scene that we're watching right now is towards the end of this experience. We had already spent all of this time together. He had become like a father figure to me. I don't know that he considered me his son, but I certainly considered him an important male figure in my life by the end of this journey, because I was just really starting out and understanding what it was I was asking myself to do. And at the end of it, I saw his reaction, like to the whole journey from this point in the movie all the way until E.F. Apostle is taken away. And I don't know that he anticipated that Sammy, the character that I play, would have that reaction. I didn't anticipate it either. It sure did feel real, from Sammy's perspective, because this guy who was such a big influence on him was being taken away. But it also happened to me personally, because my intimate time with Robert Duvall was coming to an end. So this is so deeply personal to me.
I swear to God, Raylan, I didn't know he was coming.
I believe you.
Whoa.
No shotguns allowed in this dining room. Toss it outside.
This is the ending of the pilot of Justified. You know, this job was offered to me 3 times. I turned it down twice before saying yes the third time, only because Tim got on the phone with me and the writers and made a made a change that I needed for myself. He says a lot of racist things, and I didn't believe that he was that person. I needed what I believed Boyd to be was a performer. He was someone that got off on having an audience. The things that kind of came out of his mouth would change so that he could sustain that audience, you know, and keep that audience. For me, I just felt like he was just this grandiose, kind of bigger than life person with an intellect that was off the charts. He was super smart. I said, I want, however you construct it, for Tim to say a line basically saying, I know you don't believe any of this stuff, to which they did. And then the other condition was, I just want to be the smartest guy in the room. And they let me do that.
What are you packing?
You'll pay to find that out.
Oh, you got ice cold water running through your veins.
You don't know what you're looking for until you find it. That's what Justified was for me. I read it on the page. I didn't know that it would go past the pilot. I was only in the pilot. And the time that I had with Tim was some of the best chemistry I've ever had in my life. You know, right out of the gate, the very first thing that we did together, and I've had chemistry with a lot of people, and you never know it. You never know kind of if that chemistry is going to be there or not. They shot this kind of in order, you know, and this was really kind of the last thing that we did. And Tim's Raylan Gibbons just had this real kind of laid back, barely moves a muscle way about him. And mine was equally as cool, but a little more kind of in your face and a little more flourishing. And it was only after doing this scene and then getting the invitation to go on this journey that I really realized for me why this person was so important, Boyd Crowder, to me as a person, because it was not so dissimilar from my own journey in the sense that Boyd is a poor kid and was surrounded by violence growing up with his father. He was in prison because of the poverty that he grew up in, and he desperately wanted to get out, and he wanted to break that ceiling, if you will, not for anyone more than for himself, because I think he really saw himself as more than the product of his childhood. And that's how I saw myself. And, you know, like with a lot of things, where do you end and where does your character start? I really don't believe in playing characters. You are them, that's you. And this is me.
Ava, put the gun down, please.
You wanna know what I said? I said I'm gonna shoot you, dummy.
Tim's so handsome. Tim, you're so handsome.
You did it, huh?
When you distill the show down to its essence, its core, it's really about these two men and this shared history that they have. It starts off at the end of this pilot episode where Tim Oliphant does kill me, Raylan Gibbons does kill Boyd Crowder. That's a lethal shot. And he says to him, we dug coal together. I'm already dead. 6 years later, when we finish this show, incarceration, looking at him through a glass, I say, we dug coal together, didn't we? And the idea that you have that history and that bond because of struggle, right? Because of like a difficult period in your life, you're forever connected. And I think most of us feel that way. You know, whether that's, I don't know, going through college or whatever that is, but that was the core of the story of Justified. And that one person went one way and another person went another way. One guy had a badge, the other guy had a gun. One was a sheriff, the other one was an outlaw. But they always had this time, poverty and struggle and a shared history, however brief it is, if it's chaotic, will bind you for life. You will always have that other person with you. And that was our experience over the course of making this. I just can't believe I haven't watched this scene since the premiere of the pilot. Tim looks better than me and it pisses me off. Looks so handsome. I'm pissed off. And he still looks good. He still looks better than me. Tim, you look so good.
We sit here all nice and friendly like for the next 2 days. Then the snow melts. You leave here, meet up with your gang, and hightail it to Mexico. That's the deal, right?
Wow. Wow. This stage was the coldest any one of us had ever been in our entire life. It was colder than the entire state of Colorado. And we shot it on stage once we were at that portion of the production schedule in Hollywood. Quinton said, you know, I'm gonna make it this cold so that I shoot faster. Only every day he just kept wearing heavier jackets. So he was warm while the rest of us were, you know, deathly cold. We laughed all day, every day. The conditions were so miserable. There was one time I caught Kurt Russell just talking to a chair. He was so cold. He was having a conversation with a chair, as if the chair was talking back to him. That's how tired and out of our minds we were over the course of making this. You can imagine for someone like me, and having worked with Quinton before this on Django and getting this opportunity to play this guy, Chris Mannix, in this room and being on that call sheet with the likes of Sam Jackson and Kurt Russell and Jennifer and Demian and Michael Madsen, Tim Roth. It was something that you didn't dare dream, right? Because it's probably never gonna happen, but it did happen. And we all became so very close over the course of making this movie. And this ending, it was so interesting the way that Quinton kind of architected everybody's story, but I'll just say for the story of Chris Mannix, because I'm the one doing this interview, so I'll say that it's me. You know, when you first meet Chris Mannix, you know, he's in the snow and he's trying to talk his way into this stagecoach, and he does. And then he has this kind of political kind of diatribe, and he ends it by, well, you done got me talking politics. But he's a despicable guy. There is no such thing as a harmless racist. But this guy's he's just never really been exposed to anything. He's just regurgitating ideas in a culture in which he was raised. He doesn't know anything about the world. And over the course of this experience, coming up in this moment, he sees the error of his ways. And this is what I think Quinton was saying, you know, with this, is the journey that it takes for one person to change the heart and mind of one person. All of this had to happen. I'm not making this story about me. I'm just telling you from Chris Mannix's point of view, that where he starts this journey and where he ends it, dying on a bed with what would otherwise be his nemesis, and loving him and seeing him for who he is, was so poetic to me. I thought, like, wow, that's real art.
What I believe is Joe Gage, or Grouch Douglas, whatever the fuck his name was, poisoned the coffee. And you watched him do it. And you watched me pour a cup and you didn't say shit. And I believe.
I mean, like, this, like, detective work is just, it blows my mind, and it's in the dialogue. He's just breaking it down like the whole crime scene, and everybody has their version of it over the course of this movie, and now Chris Mannix thinks he's got it all figured out.
And
I still have that chair. The production, you know, they have a sale right at the end of a movie, and Jennifer and I got the catalog earlier than everybody else. We knew people. And we just marked sold, sold, sold. I got half of the skins in there. Jennifer got half of other things, but that chair, I still have it. I saw it just the other day.
your brother's just an owl who led a gang of killers. I don't feel so good.
That That stunt was a dear friend of mine named Ryan Happy. I've had this one specific idea in my head about how I wanted to fall, and Quinton said, yeah, that's exactly how you're gonna fall. And it was so hard for Ryan to get that, because it was like, I just wanted to not buckle anything, nothing, just fall straight back. And he pulled it off, and he did it ever so slightly, kind of bending his knees.
Daddy said don't, but I said I'm gonna misbehaving.
I'm not the greatest singer in the world. Thankfully, Jennifer Nettles is, and they can just bring my contribution down a little bit. Baby Billy Freeman was the second collaboration that I had with Danny McBride. When he came to me and he said, you know, I want you to play my 70-year-old uncle, I said, who are you talking to? Really? No one really had an idea of where it was gonna go, but the very first time I dressed up as Baby Billy, it was just all there. Again, you know, a wounded guy. They're all wounded. I mean, he's somebody who, again, coming from poverty, and he was on the outside of success, the way in which he kind of saw himself, and just desperately wanted to be on the inside. And so his reaction to life is one of profound insecurity, and every day playing him was some of the funniest moments I've ever had as an actor. This scene in particular was the very first time we did flashbacks to Baby Billy when he was younger. Jennifer Nettles and we did a lot of rehearsal, kind of going, leading up to this. She's a clogger, and I'm a clogger, but I like doing my own thing. My mom taught me how to clog, and so we were getting ready to kind of do this number and kind of what that meant to the story. And for the first time, kind of being young Baby Billy and being in this arena in Charleston, South Carolina, I'll never forget like John Goodman being there, and just he hated me. Like John hated me season 1. I mean, not me, Walton, even though I don't know that he saw the difference between me and Baby Billy, but he did not like me, because he's a very serious actor too, and he just, you know, I was just El Diablo to him. But we had such a great time, and over the course of kind of filming this particular scene, at the end of it, we thought, oh well, you know, maybe people will see it, maybe this will catch on. You know, and luckily they did.
If they ever drop a really big bomb, I told us to hold up your thumb just like this. And if the cloud is smaller than your thumb, now you run for the hills.
And if it's bigger than your thumb?
They told us not to bother running.
This was the very first day that I played Cooper Howard. I had been the ghoul up until that point. I knew this day was coming. I didn't really think about it that much. I didn't want to get in my head. But being in the makeup chair only took 15 minutes that day, whereas becoming the ghoul took like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes at that point. And I'll never forget walking out of the makeup trailer and feeling the air on my face, thinking, oh my God, I don't have my armor. It's just me. And I'd grown so accustomed to being able to shut everybody out because the makeup just shuts them out for me, and thinking, I don't even know if I can do this. I don't even know who this person is. And I didn't have long to figure it out.
All right, one piece of cake coming up from my favorite cowgirl.
Is it your thumb or mine?
It's one of my favorite moments was the idea of a mushroom cloud being hidden behind your thumb. When I read this script for the first time, I knew that obviously this is the moment where you're in this world, but the world is going to permanently change in about 8 seconds. The thing that I carried with me into this experience is the fact that I am a parent. You know, I have a 14-year-old. I'll just never forget the feeling that I had in my imagination, you know, imagining these bombs dropping and really thinking about my own child and doing what any parent would do, and that is to get them to safety. Jonah, Nolan, and the writers gave Cooper Howard the opportunity to be an avatar for all of society, because it's only through his eyes, through his experience, that you witness the dropping of the bombs. was what a magical day. It was a day that I'll never forget, to live in my imagination and feel the ending of the world that way and the love that you have for your child. I watched this for the first time with 2 people, and I didn't anticipate. I was just bawling watching it. Oh my God, Jonathan Nolan. That's the thing about auteurs, and you know, you never know what they're gonna do with something, right? I mean, you're a part of these shots. As an actor, you have an idea because you've been around for a while, but you never know how the editor and how the director are gonna assemble this thing. To watch it now and see all of these artists kind of working alongside each other, and then this is the product, man. I was so hot. I've had a good life. I'm a lucky man. I am so grateful for this time, getting to go back and look at all of this. The person that started this journey and the person that is sitting here watching this journey now. I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you so much for watching.